right, we are back. This is Creativity is the Cure. I'm your host, Malcolm Moore. Today, I have my good friend, Ethan Morrow. The way Ethan and I know each other is I was a long-term sub to teach music at his school, Champs, School of the Arts in Van Nuys, which is a really fun place, maybe the most exciting and fun place I've ever worked. I don't think I've ever had so much fun and laughed so much with students. However, one thing that was weird for me, because I have been a teacher for like 13 years, and it was younger grades, and they would call me Mr. Malcolm. Well, at Ethan's school, you have to go by your last name. This took me a long time to get used to. I thought it was very off-putting to be called Sir or Mr. Moore, all this stuff. And I kept telling the students, no, just call me Malcolm, please. It didn't work. But the one that really cracked me up is how many kids would come over and go, Meester. It sounded like, you probably don't know who this is, but it made me think of Peter Lorre from campy horror movies from long ago. Have you heard of Ren and Stimpy?
No, I have not.
What is it, man?
His voice, Ren, was based on Peter Lorre. But anyway, he kind of talked creepy like this, Meester. And I would be like getting ready for a class, and one of you guys would come in, and I would just hear a disembodied voice that was like, Meester. Kind of spooked me out, but I would still go back any day.
Ah, nice. And by the way, I would have started calling you Malcolm if you just told me.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. I know that's what everybody's used to. Here's my thing. Life is short. We're all friends. Let's just be comfortable.
Yeah, life's too short to get to find stuff to get mad about.
Yeah, and it's kind of
search for stuff to get mad about.
It kind of can be condescending when, like, the last school I was in, everybody was like by their first name, Mr. Jack, Mr. Matt, and Miss Sarah, blah, blah, blah. But there was one guy who would not go for that, and you had to go by his last name. And I was like, come on, dude, who really cares? Or the teachers that correct you, do not call me by my first name. It is Mr. Moore to you.
Live a little.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're at Champs School for the Arts. You are a senior. You're 18. You've told me all kinds of crazy stuff. What are your plans for the future? Not to sound like an overbearing parent. What do you plan to do with your life? You're not going to be playing that hardcore music, are you?
You're not going to be playing that punk shit, are you? Well, don't worry about this question. I open up with it all the time myself. Yeah, I plan on getting a bachelor's degree in accounting or some other broadly applicable degree that'll get me hired. I love music, but I don't want to starve.
Right. Do you know who Bugs Bunny is?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I was raised on Looney Tunes.
All right. So you know who Wild Coyote is?
Yeah.
You make me think of him.
Oh, really?
Because you're like Ethan Morrow, super genius. Remember when Wile E. Coyote would bring his business card out?
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. If Wile E. Coyote was the genius he proclaimed to be, he professed to be, then he would have had his dinner by now.
Yeah, and he would not be buying a Batman suit from the Acme company and smash into a cliff.
Oh, yeah. Wait, maybe that's the reason he's so skinny. He hasn't had his dinner yet. He hasn't had the Roadrunner yet.
You are one of the smartest, funniest people I've ever met, so I'm glad that we could talk today.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, sir.
Are you ready to go back in time, Mr. Ethan?
Sure.
Okay, let's go back until you were just but a small boy. Did you always have the long hair?
Well, I've always had kind of long-ish hair.
Yeah.
I rocked the Beetle cut for the first, 10 years of my life.
I got to get a photo of that. I cannot imagine.
Well, actually, I do have photos of it, on the stairwell.
We're going to have to check that
here,
out. Yeah, we're going to have to check that out. Because you do kind of have epic hair, like you're either a samurai or Tarzan. I mean, it's something really epic whenever you'd come into a room.
Oh, why, thank you.
All right, so we're going to go back in time. Are you ready?
Okay.
What is your first creative memory?
Man, I haven't really thought about this in a while. I know a good answer for this. When I was a little kid, so give or take 2 years on either end, when I was 7, I was all about the Legos, the Lego Bionicals where...
Oh, I forgot about Bionicals.
Yeah, those pieces where the primary focus is making these characters, and you have the joint pieces and the skeleton and the armor and stuff. And my brother and I we'd take a bunch of those Bionicle pieces and make our own original characters with them, and then act out stories and scenarios with them. Man, those were great times. I remember spending summers and weekends after school sort of sifting through drawers full of assorted pieces, looking for that one thing I need.
Wait, wasn't there a
Yeah.
Bionicle TV show, if I remember correctly?
Oh, yeah.
So when you guys made these characters and acted things out, were they scenes from the show or just anything you could think of?
Pretty much anything we could think of.
That's more cool.
Yeah, we'd sort of like make up villains, and we wouldn't actually build them because that would mean tons more effort and whatnot.
So when you made the characters and you built them, they didn't have to be exactly like the TV show. You could like switch their heads and put like one big arm on one, a small arm, and then like an evil foot.
I guess for me, it was like characters were more set in stone, just kind of their original design's their original design.
Right.
Of course, I'd occasionally swap out armor and whatnot, and also change weapons. Pretty much the weapon that my character had most consistently was like a big two-handed sword. and you know, it kind of carries through in sort of how I play RPG video games today. I pretty much always go for the guy with a big honkin' weapon. Either that or I go with the guy with a lot of guns. My favorite character to play in Warhammer Vermintide 2 is the Bounty Hunter. He's like all about the guns. He has like a guaranteed range critical hit every 10 seconds. His special move is like this super high damage pistol shot. He pulls out a special gun and then just deletes whatever's in front of him.
Now, I find this ironic, though, because you have the smallest conducting baton I have seen in my life. It doesn't seem too threatening. But then again, that's not the job of a composer, correct?
Well, composers usually conduct their own work just because that's how they get their start. Like, they'll bring their compositions to their teachers and their directors and stuff and be like, hey, can we do this for the next show? And the idea is that whoever composed the music conducts it.
Right.
And about the size of the baton, well, I made sure to choose. I wanted to choose a small baton, just because this is a choral ensemble, and you know, usually choirs aren't conducted with batons at all. And so, if you use a baton, it's gonna be pretty small. You're usually not that far away from the choir.
What would happen if you borrowed my baton? Would it be too threatening or dramatic?
I like your baton. If I could use your baton, I would. It's a little long for what I need it for.
I'm going to lend it to you. And then I'm going to go see you conduct the choir, and I want to see what happens. But don't tell anybody you're going to use it until the performance. I got to say, one of my favorite things I ever saw you do, even though I've only known you for a few months, is when, for Beast Fest, for all the listeners out there, at his school, they have this thing around Halloween called Beast Fest, where all the musical acts perform in different ways. So Ethan was in the choir. He happened to, though, get the boom stand for the mic that swayed back and forth. It was one of the funniest things I ever saw. He was trying to be serious, but it just kept going back and forth. And you're like, don't leave me. And then the sound's like, that was awesome.
So during the choir performance, was it during Dolly Waits or?
I think so.
Oh yeah, I remember when we were doing that song. I was going up to do my solo, and then only when I went up to the damn stand did I see that
it was possessed, and you had the priceless smirk on your face.
Well, I think what I remember wasn't exactly that it was swaying. Well, I mean it was, but at the time it was standing still. The problem was that the behind the scenes people, the stagehands, they wrapped the cable around the thing, and the stand was like up to my chest height.
Yeah. Right.
And so I had to unwrap the cable, and I couldn't do it in time, so I just kind of had to hunch over and destroy my neck to like do the solo. And you know, it was fine. It was kind of funny.
It was awesome. It was almost like it was part of the performance. You made it work.
Well, this ain't my first rodeo. Oh, I'm sorry. This wasn't my first rodeo. This was in the past.
And note to listeners, do not buy mic stands on Amazon. I did notice that about the mic stands at your school. Yeah. Spend a little extra money and they will not pivot as you sing.
Yeah. Also, it's a thing of like over the long term, that cheap Amazon mic stand might save you like $50 in the short term, but then it falls and then you have to pay like another $200 for the mic that just broke.
Yeah.
The dam stands break, and then
there's choir trauma.
oh yeah.
We don't want that. So you say you have a brother, older or younger?
He's younger.
Very cool. And does he still use Bionicals, or have you both moved on?
We have both moved on. I'm now a musician, and he's a football player.
Interesting. When you were younger, were your parents creative? Do you think their creative identity was passed on to you at all in any way genetically? Do you ever find yourself going, oh, I get this from my mom, or I get this from my dad? Any aspect of your personality? Let's start out with what do they do?
Okay, so both my mom and my dad manage their own tour company, take tourists around to see city landmarks, movie locations.
Oh, and by the way, we're in Los Angeles, for anybody listening.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of just give people a good time, show them around the city. And my dad is the one who actually does the tours. He drives the bus, points things out. He's the guy on the field, so to say.
Right.
And my mom manages the company, so she's responsible for marketing, for like going out to hotels and sort of telling them to send people our way.
That is really cool that they can do that together.
Yeah, bookkeeping and all that. She's sort of manager.
Do you perhaps get your accounting skills from your mom?
Well, I've always been gifted in math. Even when I was in elementary school, the freaking hothead that I was, the teachers couldn't deny that I was like exceptionally good at math. I was like, I didn't even really need to do homework because I just understood all the stuff immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go way ahead of the class and then just kind of sulk because I didn't have anything else left to do. So I was always very good at math, and that, you know, that people do say that math and music theory are like very similar. They use similar parts of the brain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which kind of checks out because just like I didn't really struggle with math until frickin' AP Calculus. Fuck AP Calculus, by the way.
Note to self.
No. Yeah, sort of similarly to how I didn't really struggle with math, I didn't really struggle with music theory. Like, kids are still sort of struggling with getting tripped up on key signatures and memorizing them. I understood key signatures and their relative minors, like, almost immediately.
Right.
Yeah, music theory is just a bunch of math.
It's very logical.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very logical, and the patterns, it's all just a bunch of patterns.
Yeah. And then from your dad, you're a great performer, and you present yourself well live, whether it's music or speaking, you're very confident. That's probably from your dad, you think?
Sure. I mean, apart from, doing tours and, how he has to both drive and give people a tour and tell stories at the same time.
I would crash.
And also manage the film clips. He actually has, like, films and stuff happening on the screen at the front of the bus. And managing movie clips with an iPod. He's doing, like, 3 things at once.
By the way, can we do a little name drop for the company? Like, if they want to check out these tours?
Oh, yeah. The company is called Legends of Hollywood Tours. Please search them up. If you have any relatives coming to LA, please refer them. Yeah, we really need the business, 1. And 2, you'll see glowing reviews on Yelp and on everything. We are incredible.
So, if somebody is visiting LA, or somebody has just moved here, it's probably the perfect way to start, right?
Oh, yeah. And also, even if you're a resident of LA, it's a fun way to spend the day, all right? Yeah.
Excellent.
I'd put you in a chokehold if I could. Force you to buy tickets and go on the tour. I'd hog tie you and bring you on the bus. Aside from, my dad having to, be very confident and be very good at performing for his business, he's also a drummer. And
that's right.
Yeah, he's also a drummer. He's, like, played in rock bands and the hair metal bands. He was gorgeous back in the 80s. Yeah, he's definitely a showman. And actually, I've never had to deal with stage fright. If anyone ever needs advice from me on stage fright, you shouldn't ask me, because I never had it. I never felt anxious on stage.
So did your dad play classic rock or metal or Like what type of music?
Like hard rock.
Hard rock.
Yeah. If the music is good, he'll play it.
Right.
Like most recently, his most recent project's called Concrete Mile. They have 2 albums out, and it's like country rock, sort of Eagles inspired.
Do they play around here at all?
No, they're actually they're done. Yeah, the project's done because the bass player moved to Maryland to inherit his parents' house, and he was kind of a big part of the band. He was actually their sound engineer.
Oh no.
Yeah, Tim Starnes. He's done sound design for like Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Wow.
And he's like incredible. Their first album was actually recorded in 4 separate apartments during the pandemic. And
very cool.
And he managed to make it sound very good despite the recording situation being about as bad as it could get.
So it's time for him to do a solo album.
The bass player or my dad?
Your dad.
Oh.
It's time for a solo album. Or a family band. You know, he could play drums, you could play guitar, and then when that's recorded, you could be like, yeah, exactly. By the way, I do have to mention that these guys have a really cool, very furry stool that I'm looking at here.
He's imagining googly eyes on it as we speak.
Need to put googly eyes before I leave on there, and then not tell anyone.
You know what? Maybe I should buy googly eyes and then send you the photo.
Yes, please.
Yeah, my dad's also like incredibly busy, so we wouldn't have time for a project anyway.
Yeah. I still vote for the solo album. You can tell him I said that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, my dad doesn't write music, and then I realized, well, I'm sure you're insinuating that I'm writing it.
Yes, you're the composer.
Yeah, and you know, people look at me like, whenever I'd sort of show people my music, like especially people my own age, they sort of look at all this, and when I tell them that I wrote everything they see on that page, like the piano parts, the voices, all the counterpoint, and the lyrics, they sort of look at me as if I'm a fucking Martian.
I live in the shadows of your dreams.
As if this is like totally impossible for any normal human. No, it is not.
It would have been a lot more common long ago, but these days, yeah.
Yeah, these days you have like the frickin' social media, and you have the frickin' podcasts you're listening to right now. That sort of just... Well, actually, podcasts they're a better form of entertainment. You actually need an attention span to enjoy one. But yeah, you got the TikToks, the Instagrams, these sort of highly optimized platforms that just stunt your attention span. And so you're unable to focus on, you know, either whether it be your work or art. It is not good for your productivity, which is why I don't use Instagram myself.
Right. And, you know, there was this famous artist, I don't know if you heard of, that lived long ago, named Andy Warhol. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, his big quote is, everybody is now famous for 15 minutes. And I think we've gotten to like 15 seconds now. And I'm not exaggerating,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I remember like, yeah, no one's famous for very long. Yeah.
15 seconds is about where we're at, maybe less.
Yeah, and like, I'm guilty of this myself. I scroll not even after 15 seconds. But the important thing is that you're aware of it, and then you go to the YouTube homepage before you waste an hour.
Indeed. Now, here's a really big, a little more serious question. Do you think creativity could be implemented in curing people, or at least helping people with mental health struggles like depression, anxiety? Any specific insight? Have you ever, for yourself or people you know, have you noticed that creativity, improvising in life, whether it is in a performance or recording or anything like that, does that help people that are struggling?
I definitely think so, but I want to sort of preface it by saying...
I am not a doctor.
Well, yeah, there's that, but also... it's not a substitute for actual help. Yeah.
Good answer.
I've done some serious therapy myself, and, you know, writing music is sort of, it's like maintenance. It sort of boosts your well-being. It doesn't solve your problems. It doesn't fix your trauma.
For you, has it been cathartic or a form of escape if you're going through a time that's challenging?
Certainly if I'm dealing with an overwhelming emotion, I'll write a little bit. I'm actually writing a song. I've actually got the groundwork laid for a song about how frickin' frustrating it is when a date cancels on you last minute. Yeah.
This is a classical piece?
No, it's like some sort of goofy fucking stripped down, like, I don't even know what genre it is, but it's like coffee house shit. Yeah, sort of
sounds about right.
Sort of the melody, sort of the bass lines. Well, I'm waiting on a woman.
Verging on circus music.
Basically, it's circus music. Yeah, it's circus music. Just because this is that new song. Actually, if it's gonna, be completed eventually, it's sort of a microcosm of like how I am. I like to laugh through things. I don't see the point in sort of sulking.
Right.
And so I take a rather distressing, unbelievably anxious situation, like not knowing if, like, the unpredictability of a woman's schedule, and just sort of laughing about it, poking fun at it with, like, friggin' stupid sounding music. Stupid music for stupid situations.
There you go.
Yeah, you know how it is.
I want to get into music with you because it's really important to you in your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Guitar playing. How did you start guitar playing? Did you do some work on acoustic and electric? Who are some guitarists that inspire you? How did it all start?
So how it started, that's a simpler question to answer. I was in 3rd grade, and there were signups for the school orchestra. And at the very last minute, like after the signups were done, I was like, man, I want to play an instrument. I thought, I want to play the clarinet, or like the flute, or some sort of woodwind. And all the seats were full because, I waited too long.
Right.
And so went to my parents, I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to play an instrument. I want to play the clarinet. And so they took me to the Hollywood Academy of Music, which is like not even a thing anymore.
Right.
The lessons were too expensive, I'm sure. Also, the world's changed.
Side note.
And sort of they said all their woodwind teachers were out for the day, and I was like insanely impatient, as young kids are. So I was like, okay, what do you have then? And they said, well, we have a guitar teacher. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that.
That's similar.
Yeah, and that's totally similar. Hey, at least I don't have to worry about both my lungs and my hands.
There you go.
But anyways, yeah. At that time, being a little kid and being impatient as I wasn't willing to deal with the whole play acoustic for a while and then graduate to electric. It's a pretty dumb pedagogy. And so I just kind of quit. I didn't really play on my acoustic guitar.
We need to call the title of this is Dumb Pedagogy.
Oh yeah, that's a good title. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, just sort of a dumb way to do things. Acoustic and electric guitar are completely different animals, and I was really into electric guitar, so I just didn't practice at all. I was just not motivated at all. I wasn't excited. So I eventually quit. And then when I was 12 years old, I became fascinated again. I played my acoustic guitar for a bit. And then at some point, my mom... This is all kind of a blur. I just all of a sudden had an electric guitar and an amp. But I believe what happened was that I was playing my guitar and I was like, hey, Mom, I was wondering if I could get an electric guitar sometime. And she was like, let's go to the music store. And so we bought a cheap $100 amp and then like a $300-something guitar. And I started.
So when you were playing acoustic guitar, what type of stuff were you playing? Like songs that you wanted to learn that you liked? Or did you have a teacher that was giving you...
My teacher was sort of giving me like the standard curriculum almost, if you could say that. Like, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Okay, so
Seven
you're
Nation
using
Army.
modern rock and pop songs.
Yeah, modern rock and pop songs, that sort of thing.
Oh, this is on acoustic guitar, so you could do like Nirvana Unplugged.
I mean, here's the problem. Power chords sound very lame on acoustic guitar.
Not too powerful.
Not too powerful, yeah. There's a reason why you only saw power chords sort of come up when distortion came on the scene. Just because with distortion, thirds sounded kind of muddy. Oftentimes they were too dense for what you were doing, so you just play root and fifth, and it sounded full. So you did that. So instead of parallel fifths sounding like very empty and kind of, bad, if you just wanted a big block of whatever the root note was, a big block of A, you just play A and E. You get a big chunky block of A.
Okay, you get the electric guitar.
Yeah.
And you start playing different types of music. Do you get effect pedals? Like, what is fascinating you at this point about switching to electric?
Mainly because I was listening to metal at the time. I was listening to...
this is where it started.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, actually, I started listening to extreme metal in 6th grade. I listened to Lamb of God.
Yeah, great band.
Yeah, from, I think it was a Steve Terreberry video, sort of talking about heavy riffs. And so I decided to check out one of the songs, and when the screaming came on, I was like kind of flustered initially, but then I just kept coming to it.
I just gotta say, this is the guy that less than a month ago, when I was working at his school, got up and sang Bodies by Drowning Pool. Yeah. Got everybody like, let the bodies hit the floor. The best part was in the middle of the song, and I have this on video, which will make you cringe. When you got low to the ground and you got the whole crowd to whisper with you, that was really wild. And then it blew up.
Yeah.
Dynamics, strange concept.
Yeah, strange concept, especially to kids who like are just holding on for dear life because they can barely remember what the notes are.
But that's another conversation for another time.
That's a conversation for maybe even later,
All right, but let's get back. So Lamb of God, how do you get from there to Malcolm? Do you like blast beats?
Oh. Just... You kind of find bands over time, artists you might like that sort of at the bottom of like band's discography or page on Apple Music, bands that are similar to what you're listening to.
Right.
And I'd been hearing this name all across the musical circles, Meshuggah. Yeah, they're... I don't really listen to them much anymore, but when I first heard Bleed, that was sort of when I dove into the deep end of extreme metal. Well, actually, a bit less extreme. What I was routinely listening to at the time was DragonForce. And the fantasy, like, power metal bands. And I was just really obsessed with the guitar shredding and whatnot.
Yeah.
And actually, Herman Lee from DragonForce was... Well, to answer one of the earlier questions, he was the guy who sort of influenced me the most, inspired me the most. He's where I got my chops from, just where I got inspired to learn, like, the flashy stuff.
I was thinking on the way over here, you love, like, hardcore music or whatever you're going to call that, and classical music. And my wife really likes a lot of hardcore bands. But the difference with you is the bands that you tried to turn me on to were more like a hybrid of classical and hardcore music. And I'm not only talking about the meters when you and I are like, what is this in 11/8? But the harmonic structure and the way the pieces were put together. Would you say that's true, that a lot of these bands are a combination of everything that you like?
Well, nowadays, yes. I usually listen to like more, I guess you could say, academic metal. Sort of metal that's,
You just made a new genre.
performed by people who, like, studied classical harmony and, like, play classical instruments amongst a bunch of blast beats and power chords and shit. Yeah, nowadays, a lot of the metal I listen to is sort of grandiose in that sense.
Right.
One band that I am really into, well, not really into, but that I really appreciate, unfortunately, they're not really a thing anymore. Their last album was in 2017, so they're pretty much done these days.
Right. So long ago.
Nowadays, if you don't release anything in 5 years, people think you're dead. But anyways, Xanthochroid. they're like really underground. They've only ever played in like small clubs, but they're really cool. They have like, when you listen to them, you could just imagine them, their whole band, plus like a freaking orchestra. The songs are so dense with like strings and woodwinds and just symphonic textures and backing vocals and even some like 4-part choir stuff.
And what is a Xanthochroid?
Um,
It sounds like you're casting a spell, or
it's a serious medical condition.
Are you serious?
No, it is not.
Oh.
But it just kind of sounds like that. My dad...
It sounds like something that band Guar would shout out during a show. Xanthochroid!
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with Guar, but anyways, Xantho is the Greek root word for yellow, and then oid is like resembling. Xanthochroid is like an antiquated term for
resembling yellow?
For a blonde... was like an antiquated term for like a blonde, like really pale Scandinavian. So,
which leads us right back to black metal, but that's another conversation. What? Wait, you gotta repeat this. I said to Ethan when I got here, what's the deal with black metal? Is that like those Nordic, satanic bands?
The movement started because a bunch of disgruntled Scandinavians just weren't very happy with the Christians.
I love that. I love that explanation.
That is such a diplomatic way to describe it, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
You were at the Metal UN, United Nations of Metal. You were just helping everyone get along.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not too familiar with black metal history, but about different genres and sort of telling them apart.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just you have to get a feel for it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, would you agree with this? A lot of people that don't know jazz well, there's all different kinds of jazz. But if you're talking about bebop, if you were not used to listening to that type of music, it sounds very fast, very dissonant. It doesn't make any sense. And you can disregard it and saying, that's crazy people music. So I think the same thing about a lot of hardcore music or all these different offshoots of it. I think you have to be in it to really understand. Like, you have to be up at that speed. And I always ask my wife when she's listening to stuff that's like, I'm like, what are they talking about? She's like, well, they're talking about the Civil War. And I'm like, oh.
They're talking about like deep philosophy.
Yes.
Grumbling about deep philosophy, and you just can't tell what they're saying. Yeah, well, actually, poor diction is not really, poor diction doesn't have to come with harsh vocals. I mean, my dad's actually not really into the music I listen to. He's not really into extreme metal, but when we were recording my EP, he said to me, like, Ethan, I can tell exactly what you're saying. And
was that okay?
And that was awesome. That was awesome because I never actually had to work on my diction. I just always kind of, I guess, screamed or pronounced things properly.
But I got to ask you this. So a lot of times I listen to hardcore, and my wife's, she works from home and in an office. She's playing this stuff.
And by the way, correction, hardcore is a different genre. So
okay, what are we going to call it?
Most people just call this kind of music just metal.
Okay.
But to be more specific, to describe the intense stuff, extreme metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
But being 55, I've seen these genre names change over the years.
It all goes under the umbrella of extreme music.
Yes. And that sounds just about right. So when I hear this type of music, number one, I have a hard time telling what they're saying. I need captions. And that's not because I'm a drummer going deaf. I really don't understand. But I think I've noticed, especially in your school, everybody wears like metal t-shirts. Do they go out of their way to make it so you can't read the name of their band? And does that go along with not being able to tell what they're saying when they're singing?
Well, I don't even know. I don't know how that came about. I guess it was sort of an artistic statement.
You know what I mean, right? Right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like the illegible band logos and stuff.
Yeah, like our friends from your school in that band Skunk.
Oh yeah.
Almost always wearing a t-shirt that looks really cool, but I cannot read it for the life of me.
Yeah. I have the feeling that a lot of those T-shirts are just like fashion brands kind of using that style, kind of using that same style that metal bands sort of came up with on their own.
Almost like a Hot Topic thing, or like
every
time I see a young person wearing a Misfits T-shirt, I'm like, oh, what's your favorite song? And they're like, what? And they don't know that that's a band. They might just be wearing it for Dia de los Muertos. They might not know that it's like an iconic band.
Yeah, certainly you'll find even like fashion brands sort of using rock and heavy metal culture sort of as inspiration. And so you'll see like brand name Affliction having like that spiky logo and stuff, and you just know that was definitely inspired by the heavy metal scene.
Yes.
I'm not totally sure, so please don't sue me.
It has become commercialized. I remember when I worked in elementary school and I started to see kids with like T-shirts that said Nirvana or Soundgarden. I'm like, oh, you like them? And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, why do you have that T-shirt? My mommy bought it for me at Target. So there's a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, by that point, I can't exactly blame you. You kind of have to forgive ignorance. I mean, I don't know everything. I've probably done some... I know I've said a bunch of stupid stuff. And, saying stupid stuff is a lot worse than wearing stupid stuff, so...
Ooh, again...
So I have grace.
That is a great subtitle for this episode.
Saying stupid stuff is... And then, like, the greater than symbol. Saying stupid stuff greater than wearing stupid stuff.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What is the name of your band and what kind of music do you guys do? You've told me a little bit about this.
Oh, yeah. We're called Silvanth.
Can you spell that for everybody? Because
Okay.
I've never heard that word. That sounds like a kind of creature that comes from the outside into your house and then goes under a couch.
Well, okay. So it's
Oh, that's silverfish. I'm sorry.
How about this? You just edit out that laugh. You edit out that laugh, and then it just is silent, and then I explain stuff. Oh my goodness, sir, you are going pink right now. You are pink. Look in the mirror. You're pink.
I told you you're a funny guy.
You're pink right now.
All right. Name of
Anyways,
your band.
Okay, Silvanth. Silvanth. We play like... We're sort of a cross between progressive death metal and melodic death metal. I was inspired by early Dimmu Borgir and I guess Insomnium when I was writing our music. And we got an EP coming out sometime later this year.
What's the instrumentation makeup of the band?
Guitar, bass, vocals, and drums.
And you're playing guitar, but are you also singing?
Yeah. And if we're actually going to perform live, I'd have to find another guitar player because I want to do more. Well, one, I want to do more complex arrangements, and two, our music kind of needs two guitar players.
Right.
Yeah. If you hear more than one guitar track in our recordings, then just know that was all me. We didn't do it like that live. We'd have like Morales on the keyboards, dealing with that. It's always really hard finding another band member because our band is initially started as a group of classmates,
right.
So we all kind of knew each other. And already it's kind of hard to stay together as a band. And we already knew each other before then.
Right.
So imagine just bringing a stranger into the group. It is
into the fold.
Into the fold. Yeah, just bringing a stranger into the group it's definitely a gamble. I mean, you'll have someone who comes in and they don't know theory or they can't count or just otherwise just not very sensitive.
Right.
And especially with our music, we play in odd time signatures, we use tempo changes. Our stuff, you need to count.
It's pretty complex.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a song where we have an extensive section in 11/8 time.
Right.
And it's not an American 11/8. A Western 11/8 is like 3/3/3 and 2, so
like Whipping Post by Allman Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also an 11. But it's a Balkan 11. So a Kopanitsa pattern, which is 2-2-3-2-2.
Right.
and it's faster than that. And actually, the drummer had a hard time learning it initially, and we were scared we weren't going to perform the song for the concert. But he eventually grasped it, and now that's his favorite song to play.
Wait, so you have performed?
We have performed that one, yeah. And actually, that was the one that was the easiest to record, because we drilled it so much. It's sort of the interesting things, and it's sort of... That's a common pitfall when learning new music, is stressing so much about the complex stuff that you mess up the easy bits.
Right.
Yeah. That's
a good point.
That's something I've actually learned about when sort of looking at videos on how to learn guitar solos. People sort of stressing that don't fall into this trap of like stressing so much about the complex passages that you mess up on the easy bits.
Right.
No one really cares if you play 5 notes instead of 4 in like a crazy sextuplet note passage.
Yeah.
But they do care if you bend out of tune.
Right.
And so just kind of getting your priorities balanced is important.
Right, and I think what you're saying, being able to pull off the simple stuff, I think is more important, especially as I get older as a musician.
Oh, absolutely. That's like, what they hire you for.
I always tell my students, because I'm a private drum teacher, I'm like, get everybody clapping, make sure the groove is good, make sure you don't speed up or slow down. There's probably not a lot of drummers in the audience. You don't need to do the flashy stuff. Throw some here and there, but nobody's going to care how fast or how complex you can play if you can't keep the groove together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean...
so that goes back to you're saying the simple stuff is the most important. If you can pull that off successfully, then sure, sprinkle all this stuff on top.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't really mind busy drumming. I love Mastodon as much as the next guy.
Yeah.
But the reason why that works is because Bron Daler, his drumming is very busy and very complex.
Right.
My dad calls him a wind-up monkey, actually. But the reason why it works is because it's still in time.
Right.
The technical bits don't come at the expense of the tempo.
I think what I'm saying, though, is like there's a lot of musicians who have great chops. They can play all kinds of really fast, complicated things on no matter what instrument, but it might not work out well for the band or for the song.
Oh yeah, that's sort of one thing I've noticed amongst a bunch of like young musicians is that in an ensemble they sort of are so laser focused on their own part that they don't really listen to what everyone else is doing.
Yes, that's a hugely important thing.
Yeah, and so you'll have a bunch of people competing for your attention rather than making something that's sensitive and dynamic and cohesive. And
serve the song, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Depending on what you're playing. And so with your band, I'm curious, there's so many different ways to compose. Are you the main songwriter?
Yeah, I basically wrote all of it, and then just kind of let my bandmates have their way with the parts I give them. I let them interpret it.
It sounds like, in general, for your band, you bring these songs and then you guys flesh them out. Have you ever done the other way around where you all jam, record it, you take it home, and then you maybe write some lyrics and then you rearrange a little bit, like a cut and paste type of thing?
No, I've never done that because it's just very inefficient. It's very inefficient, and my bandmates have very poor songwriting skills. And so to work around that, it's best to just have the best guy in the room. There are some skills you don't develop when you're under pressure, is what I'm saying.
Is there a lot of improvisation in your band, or is it more planned out?
I'm absolutely the kind of guy who needs to plan everything out. So
even your guitar solos?
Even my guitar solos, yes.
So you're probably more creating a melody ahead of time.
Yeah, basically my guitar solos are an extended melody.
Right.
Yeah.
And you may add some inflections here and there, but in general, it's going to stay true to the composition.
Yeah, in general, I plan everything out. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I hate playing jazz, because it's so loose, and I don't do well with looseness.
We are so different, my friend.
Oh, yeah. And, metal, it's also just from being a metalhead.
Yeah.
Metal tends to be very precise.
Speaking of precise music, let's move on to your classical compositions.
Ooh.
I've only heard a little bit. I did love what you played me when I was at your school. And today you said you just finished a new piece, right?
Oh, yeah. I showed Malcolm here the score. And actually, what I didn't show you was that on that score, there are actually some bits that have handwritten lines and stuff. So like graphic elements. You know graphic notation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like graphic elements in the score, because the song sort of starts out almost kind of liturgical and very proper and, traditional counterpoint and 4-part harmony and whatnot. And then by the end, it dissolves into this kind of austere, aleatoric, modernist kind of thing with like secundal harmony, like tone clusters. And it's sort of meant to feel kind of claustrophobic and suffocating. And
I love it. Go on.
And sort of to fit the vibe of the music falling apart, and also because I don't want to imply pitch or meter.
Sounds like entropy.
Certain sounds. Yeah, exactly, yes.
Musical entropy. Yes.
Yeah. So, because the music demanded it, I had to use some graphic notation. And actually that made printing out the score a bit of a pain in the ass because I couldn't just print it directly from the site.
By the way, what do you use for software to compose on and to print out?
Oh, to compose on, I use Noteflight.
Right. And do you find that that's efficient and you can write quickly with it and not spend too much time going, how does this work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Noteflight is a bit limited. It's probably the most limited notation software out there, even with like the paid plan. However, the best part about it is that everything is pictographic, so you can just kind of infer what each button does without having to hover your finger over it.
It's very intuitive.
Cursor over it. Yeah, it's very intuitive. The user interface is incredibly simple. Sibelius and MuseScore take notes. And I've tried other notation softwares when I was looking for something more high end, and fucking none of it worked. I would look at it and I'd be like, what the hell am I looking at?
Well, let me ask you this. So when you're using notation software, where are the sounds coming from? Are they built into the software?
Yeah, they're like samples, and MIDI samples are what they use to play back and stuff. And actually, it's a little misleading, especially because Noteflight, anyone developing Noteflight, I want you to hear this. Please learn how tenor voices operate. Because the software sounds very strainy upon the tenor voice reaching an E4. Tenors sing that note all the time. They do not strain up there. Please fix that shit. Anyways, beef with notation software developers aside, they use MIDI playbacks, and while the playback is a little misleading, I do double check things on a piano.
Right.
Which is even more which is itself is not the full picture because my piano is electronic and not acoustic, so you don't get all the overtones and shit.
So if you come up with a new idea for a classical piece, are you going to go right to the computer? Are you going to go to the piano? What are you going to do? What's your first inclination to try out this thing in your head?
Well, everything has to start with a melody.
Mm-hmm.
So what I usually do is I find the melody, I put it into the software, and I harmonize it. So my teacher sort of uses this term implied harmony, where you see.
And you're talking about Derek Morales right now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So all notes within a scale have a chord that goes with it, and sort of you figure out the harmony as you go, and see, I harmonize the melody. I come up with the piano part at the same time. Usually, when it comes to piano writing, I'm not a piano player. I only know enough to know what is and isn't physically possible for a keyboardist. But for, say, my most recent composition called Sunless, I had block chords in the right hand playing just outlining the harmony explicitly and having, rolling arpeggios in the left hand.
Right.
You can't really go wrong with that. And I'm sure that in my next composition, the piano part's going to be a bit more varied. But, it depends on what the piece calls for. And so after I get the piano part and the melody down, then the voices come in. And usually I just sort of mirror the melody that I started with in the soprano, just because that's how choral writing works. You have the melody in the highest voice.
Right.
And then you write the bass line. And here's the thing, with four-part writing, the soprano and the bass have to be musical on their own. They have to make sense on their own, and they have to sound good on their own. The inner voices, the tenor and the alto, they're basically just harmonic. People don't perceive them. They just perceive a big, lush sound. They don't perceive the tenor and the alto, so they can be as weird as you need them to be.
How about for you, though? When you hear something, are you hearing all those parts at once, your brain?
Not really. I just sort of start with the soprano and then harmonize under it.
Right.
And, that's how classical voice leading works, is that you start with the melody and kind of go from there. Think of things from the top down, almost.
Right. That's why it always shocks me. Like, I'm definitely not as good with harmony as you, but I can easily, if I'm composing a piece, go from the top down. The thing that shocks me is the people that can go the other way. Start low and then build up from that. I don't think that's as common.
Yeah. Also because, like, my main instrument is guitar and I also sing. So my thing is I play melody instruments and I think in terms of harmony and melody.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm sure as a drummer you think in terms of rhythms and like layers and stuff.
Right.
So it sort of depends on where your reference point is.
Right. There's a great drummer. I don't know if you heard of him. His name is Phil Collins.
I have.
Okay. I like what he said once. He goes, I'd rather listen to a bad band with a good drummer than a good band with a bad drummer.
Oh, man. Wow, ain't that the truth of it? Yes, a band is only as good as their drummer.
Yeah. All right, here's a question for you. What is the difference for you between composing a classical piece and a piece for your band? How does that differ, the approach?
That's an interesting question because I actually haven't composed for my band in a while, so I have to sort of dig up memories. But the difference is that with my band, I think in terms of riffs. So I take a collection of riffs that I had created beforehand from my guitar and then kind of stitch them together in a way that makes sense. And this takes a good amount of intuition. And sort of once I've gotten the main form down, I write down my riffs in the notation software and then program crappy drums to it. And then get like a very basic bass line under it as well. Get an idea of where I want it to go.
So you use the software for all your composing, no matter what type of music?
Yeah, basically. And sort of with metal, with all of my compositions, it's compose as I go. And actually the best things I've composed just kind of came out of me. I didn't have to think too hard about it.
Yeah.
Like one of the songs with Silvanth, the one I'm most proud of, Forest of Sorrow. It's an 8.5 minute long song, but that was by accident. Yeah. And all those riffs were I came up with them on the spot. It just kind of flew out of me. I was in the zone. And that ended up being the piece I'm most proud of currently. Yeah. Anyways, I kind of went off topic, but...
No, I think that answers it well. I was just curious. Yeah. It sounds like you have the same approach. Yeah. You're going to go with the genres you're doing, like what works for classical, what works for your band, but the fact that you use the same software, you're coming up with the melody first. It sounds like classical, the melody comes first, and your band, it's more rhythmic.
Yeah. Metal itself is a very textural genre.
Right.
And so the difference is that, with my classical composing, melody is king. With my band, sort of the riffs dictate everything. Yeah.
And one thing I do like about that type of music you do is it is very rhythmic. Often I'm hearing at least the guitar and the drums focusing on the same type of rhythm with the bass supporting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the bass should lock in with the bass drum, things like that. But I love how, I think more than any other kind of music, the rhythms really come together in a complex way to support that type of music.
Yeah. And in all music, no matter what you're doing, melody is king. But with metal, with my metal compositions, the starting point is the riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have a hook. You got to way to, you got to make your ear worm to keep it going in people's brains, whether they like it or not.
Oh yeah, and there are plenty of bands who get away with no melody, like Gojira and Fear Factory. They're metal bands that basically don't use a whole lot of melody. They're all about the groove, all about the grind of electric guitars and the pounding bass drums, and they're all about the energy, essentially.
Well, and for lack of a better term, some of the shoegazing type of music, like Deftones, who I think are great, especially because I love their drummer. It's very textural, and the melody is secondary, and they've always got that heavy music, but somebody singing quietly with also a whisper track, almost like ASMR type of thing.
Oh, man. While I don't really listen to Deftones, I do appreciate how eclectic they are. They pull a lot of ideas from everywhere. Like my two favorite albums from them are Diamond Eyes and Koi no Yokan. Deftones, I think the cool thing is that they use 8-string guitars. They use extended range guitars in like a sort of shoegazy kind of situation, which I think is interesting.
I think an important thing about their music is the ambiance and the vibe and everything is really cool.
Yeah, I can certainly see why people enjoy them. It's just that I usually prefer more complex music.
Yeah. Johann Sebastian Bach.
Oh yeah,
you've heard of him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I compose classical music, so
it rings a bell.
Yeah, actually, he was my first foray, and he was the guy who sort of got me interested in Baroque music, and then Handel got me into the deep end.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So at one point, Bach said this: "It's easy to play any musical instrument. All you have to do is touch the right key at the right time, and the instrument will play itself."
Oh man,
your response.
To be an NBA Hall of Famer, you just need to put the ball in the hoop. It's like, yeah, no kidding. It's like the worst advice ever. The worst advice ever, but that's what makes it incredible.
Yes. Okay, there's a great writer named Stephen Nachmanovitch. He is an American musician, author, artist, and educator. He performs and teaches internationally as an improvisational violinist and at the intersections of performing and multimedia arts, philosophy, and ecology. I just had to give his wide spectrum there before I tell you what he said. At one point, he said, "Many musicians are fabulously skilled at playing the black dots on the printed page, but mystified by how the dots got there in the first place, and apprehensive of playing without dots. Music theory does not help here. It teaches the rules of the grammar, but not what to say. When people ask me how to improvise, only a little of what I can say is about music. The real story is about spontaneous expression, and it is therefore a spiritual and psychological story, rather than a story about the technique of one art form or another." Your thoughts, Mr. Ethan?
I can only really comment on the gist of that, but certainly there are a lot of things about music that you can't learn from a textbook. For my example, I'm a very bad improviser, but this kind of relates to me in regards with songwriting. People are absolutely mystified by just songwriting in general, whether it be lyrics or orchestration and whatnot. And a lot of it is just developing good intuition, listening to a lot of music. And, good songwriting can't be boiled down to a list of rules.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And it's like how groove can't be learned from a textbook. So yeah, the sort of essence of that quote to me is, don't bury your head in the textbook.
Yeah.
You read it, just don't bury your head in it.
You are a very musically educated student, and you know more than most students I've run across as far as theory and rhythms and harmonic structure and all this stuff. So you build up your knowledge of this over the years. When it's time for you to especially compose a piece for your band, do you kind of throw that out the window and try to use intuition more? Obviously, you're drawing from these things you learned, but are you always thinking, this is a dissonant melody?
Well, it certainly depends on the style. Like with my band, metal is very intuition heavy just because it sort of came about from people who weren't the most schooled, who weren't the most musically schooled.
Kind of like punk music, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And, metal doesn't have to be functional, it just has to sound good. Mm-hmm. So occasionally I will throw in counterpoint, even before learning a lot of counterpoint, or like the rules of it. I used it plenty of times in our early songs. And I've gotten a knowledge of it to where I can sort of improvise on the spot. In the studio, for example.
While you're composing, you're saying.
While I'm in the studio, sometimes last-minute adjustments need to be made. I was like, oh shit, I didn't think of a rhythm guitar part for this. And so I just kind of did a little contrapuntal thing on the spot. I thought about it for a bit.
So you don't use improvisation in the traditional sense, but obviously as a composition tool, it seems to me it's very important to you.
Yeah, it's usually just come about from practical necessity. Like, say you're in the studio and there's a hole in the composition that you didn't fill.
Right.
And you have to come up with something. But for metal, yes, I rely more on intuition. But for classical music, I do follow convention, just because they're convention for a reason. So, for example, the reason why there are bands on parallel fifths and parallel octaves and why the three upper voices have to be within a twelfth of each other, the reason for that is so that the texture remains full and lush throughout and voice parts don't dissolve into each other. And, if what I'm going for is a full lush texture, which is what I'm always going for most of the time, yeah, I adhere to convention, and especially with harmony, there's a reason why there are sort of functional harmony charts and why they're actually kind of important, and why doubling rules are really important. People have been thinking of this kind of stuff for thousands of years, and they've found out what sounds good and what doesn't.
Right. Especially
with doubling rules, they're actually very important. You double the third in a major or minor triad, it's going to sound really, really bad no matter what. It's going to sound really, really bad most of the time. And it's the same thing as you could break rules, but does it sound better? If you ask me, most of the time it does not.
Right.
And, I've sung choral pieces that do break these rules. Like, for example, Dolly Waits, as arranged by Ryan Main. The melody of that piece is really cool, and the whole song is awesome. However, for a 4-part mixed choir, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and the whole thing sounds very thin. The choral textures sound very thin because there are so many parallel octaves and parallel fifths, and even just explicit unisons. And I'm not really into that. If I rearranged the piece myself, then I probably would have avoided those parallels in order to make sure each part is necessary.
Right. So people have been doing things these certain ways for a long time for a reason, because it works.
Because that's what works. Yeah. So whenever I break a rule, it's usually out of necessity. Improper spacing is probably the easiest thing to break. You'll want to do that instead of, say, having forbidden parallels like parallel fifths or octaves. If you need parallel fifths or octaves, if you really need those, you have to be aware that basically you want to minimize them. Sometimes it's impossible to adhere to textbook orthodoxy. The idea is that you adhere to it most of the time. Keep the texture full most of the time. Like, for example, in Sunless, everything I needed to do ended up with parallel octaves in the tenor and alto if I wanted to adhere to standard doubling rules for certain chords. And between parallels and doubling rules, you want to break parallels first. Improper doubling sounds really, really bad. People don't mind when the texture gets thinner momentarily, but people do mind. But people do mind when a chord sounds really, really bad.
Yeah. But also, I think it takes people a long time to acclimate to certain kinds of music. Like, my favorite piano player of all time is Thelonious Monk. He's a great jazz musician.
I've heard of him.
Now, he does very dissonant music and plays a lot of things that I think breaks the rules, but his melodies are so catchy you can't get them out of your head, and he seems to be very playful performer and composer. So I think everybody's got their own voice, and there's no. I see what you're saying. There's rules to what makes certain kinds of music work, but there's always room to experiment and break rules here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why we learn traditional counterpoint, even though we're not bound by it these days, nowadays you can do anything you want.
Right.
But the reason why we learn these rules is because if we're going to break them, we have to have a good reason to do so.
There you go.
If we're going to break them, we have to have a meat and potatoes reason to do so. Like Eric Whitacre, he's one of the greatest. He's a really great modern composer. He uses parallel fifths and parallel octaves and crosses voices all the time. But that's because his goal is not... That's because his goals are different. And I'm sure that he's achieved what he wanted to. A lot of times his compositions are not necessarily about having a full, dense texture the entire time, but about sort of a cloud of harmony almost. And so when you're breaking these rules, you have to consider what is the effect I'm going for here.
Right.
And for me, the effects I'm going for kind of need those traditional counterpoint principles.
Right.
Yeah. If you're going to break the rules, you have to articulate.
You have to have a pretty damn good reason.
Exactly. You have to have a very damn good reason to do so.
Especially when you're entering into a cloud of harmony.
Oh, yeah.
Please tell me you know who Henry Rollins is.
Yeah, singer for Black Flag.
Mm-hmm. Went on to be a solo singer. He's a great writer, public speaker, amazing person. And most known as the lead singer of Black Flag. He once said this: "My father did not rock. He just earned and hated. Don't end up like this man."
So that's that's not so much musical, but that's like sort of criticizing the sort of societal narratives we've been fed. Like, sort of, to me, that reminds me of like, you know the archetype of the American dad who goes to the office every day, hates his job, and he only works it because it pays well.
Right.
Doesn't truly live, he just survives.
No depth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Henry's got the essence right, that ultimately you have to enjoy what you're doing.
You've got to find a passion in life.
Ultimately, like, it's important to... You have like 80 years on this planet. That's an awful long time to be miserable.
A lot of the entertainment industry has changed, especially recently with the advent of technology and things like AI and streaming and things like that. So I think it's becoming harder for, let's just talk about musicians now. Of course, there's comedians, writers, producers, things like that. But for the musician, it's harder and harder to make a living for these days for a lot of different reasons. So if you're an artist like you or I, how important is it to do art for the sake of art, taking out the component of making money? How important is that to you?
Well, to me, it's everything. Mainly because both classical music and metal are not very popular. They don't make money. Those two genres don't make money, so the only way I could really justify doing them is if I paid my bills elsewhere and just did it for the love of it.
Right.
To me, enjoying what you're making, ultimately you have to like what you're doing. I can't imagine producing pop music or hip-hop, two genres I don't have any passion for, simply to get my bills paid. If I was concerned with getting my bills paid, why am I even doing music in the first place? Why am I even doing it in music in the first place? Like,
there you go.
Yeah, that's why I plan on getting a degree outside of music. That way I have more to offer. I have more ways to get paid, more stable ways to get paid, you know what I mean?
So you don't have to worry about money, and when you make art, you can enjoy it.
Yeah, ultimately I have to live with it.
How can people check out your stuff? Are you on social media? Do you have a website?
I am on Instagram at A Guitar Is a Weapon. There are like underscores between each of those words.
No postings though.
No postings though. You'll never see me post a story. When you do, you can take a shot.
Because the guitar is a weapon.
Yeah. I mean, it's a damn good weapon. I mean, you got the spear end if you got like a sharp headstock, a pointy headstock. And then if you need to smash someone's face in, you got the heavy body. Especially if it's a Les Paul. So it's basically a spear and a hammer in one. It's a great weapon.
You make and create all this beautiful music. Is there any way anybody can check it out, or they will be able to in the near future?
Oh, as for my classical compositions, you'll have to see them on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Either that,
do you have a channel?
Yes, I do, but for now I keep things private because I'm not proud of anything I've put on there yet. But I will make the videos I do like public. My classical compositions will be published on JW Pepper soon. Well, maybe not soon, but sometime this year, hopefully.
So within the next year.
Within the next year,
people will be able to check out your stuff.
Yeah. Within the next year, you'll be able to sort of check out my stuff. It'll be published. And sooner than that, my metal band, Silvanth, will release their EP, Forest of Sorrow. And
are you guys on social media?
Currently, no, but we will at some point.
When the music is ready and done.
When the music's ready and done, yeah.
All right, Mr. Ethan, it has been a pleasure. Thanks for talking to me today, and let's do this again soon.
Oh, man. I'd be down. My schedule's very open, so, this was really fun, actually.
I agree. One of the best. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Press onwards for the trees sing no
Terrible things, their abhorrence drops from every pore. I see through dark, clear as day. I fight through twisted roots, sense for no dirt lays. My wit wears thin, as primeval I lose. I crawl through arboreal veins, into a wooden tomb. Your tears are mine. I hear your voice inside. I'll swim across a crimson ocean. I'll see you soon. My heart can't beat without you. I will not rest until our souls are one. I hear your cries. I dig with all my might, given the scars as your voice is getting clearer. Enrapture me. You are my sky and sea. I weep of joy for our fruit is yet tread near. The bark splitters, reveals a foreign eye. Too slender to be hers, a gaze so serpentine. A claw bursts from the wood, pulls me in her place. I tear away, just as the walls close in around me.
Yeah, and drink your damn coffee. You filthy coffee drinker, you...
What are we, what type of coffee are we drinking today? Is there a certain brand?
It's Lavazza. It's medium roast.
Medium roast.
Yeah.
You don't do espresso yet?
I have. It's just that it's very hard to find good espresso, because espresso pulls everything out of the coffee grounds. And so it pulls... if there's even the slightest bit of spoilage or offness or acidity in the coffee grounds, it'll pull that out so much. Basically, all espresso I've had has been like sour and just really quite acrid.
You got to have the Turkish espresso. That's probably the best I've had.
I bet they have like really good coffee over there.
Indeed, it's very serious. They bring out their best china, and it's like a full ordeal. However, would you like to know about the weirdest espresso I've had?
What?
In Indonesia. This is legal now, but they used to do this. The civet cat, who is a feral, bizarre-looking cat who roams the land over there, they would have it eat the coffee beans, digest them, and then get rid of it, and then they grind that up and make it into espresso and coffee. It's quite bitter, as one would imagine.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't tell me that. Well, the kind of specialty coffees I get from Trader Joe's are pretty good.
I'm pretty happy with those.
Yeah. But you know, I hear that a great place to get fresh coffee, like the freshest coffee, is online. Certain certain real retailers will they'll get your order and then roast your coffee like right there, and then send it to you. And
Within
so you
a day, I hope, so it's still fresh.
I mean, I guess you can pay for express shipping, but that seems a little greedy. Have it within a day, come on.
Yeah, I do like the Willie Nelson coffee as well.
Yeah.
It keeps you really calm. It's CBD coffee or tea.
Oh, that's so interesting. Like, you got cannabis, which sort of, by all accounts, calms you down.
Right.
And then you got coffee, which, for most people, wires you up. At that point, you're just drinking it for the taste.
You're telling your brain two different things.
Telling your brain two different things, yeah. It's like the Justin Bieber song, "What do you mean?" Oh, when you nod your head yes, but you want to sing no.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say about that is when I was in my 20s, I remember I went to see that band Garbage, and I ran into
I've heard of them.
Really good. Produced by Butch Vig, who he's the drummer in the band, but also he produced Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana. Did pretty well for himself.
I knew I recognized that name.
However, I ran into my buddy who was, in one hand, he had coffee, in the other hand, he had beer. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're sending two different messages to your brain. And he said, well, the coffee is keeping me awake so I can keep drinking more alcohol. And that left me speechless.
Oh, man. It would have left me speechless, too. I mean, I can't wait to be 21 just because of that story.
Like I said before, you're a vegetable.
A vegetarian? No, I am not a vegetarian. What kind of frickin' blue-haired liberal do you take me for?